Welcome to Write with Love. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling author, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. Each week, I chat to passionate and inspiring authors about their journey in creative writing. Some are traditionally published, some do it themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has something interesting to say. We all love love and love what we do. Today's show is brought to you by our amazing fans and supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show and get some awesome bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author to learn more. Now here's today's show. G'day and welcome to Write with Love. Today on the show, I'm chatting to Kaneana May. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Sarah.
No worries. So I can't wait to talk to you about your new book. But before we get to that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to publication?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, it wasn't originally that I wanted to be a writer. I don't think I realised that for quite a while, but I loved story, like the whole concept of a good story ever since I was really quite young. I used to play Barbies and dolls, and I'd just for hours be playing my own little stories, and then I'd have cousins play, and then I'd get them, they were older, so they were very kind to play with me for so long, but they'd come back and I'd say, can we play that story again? So I wanted to do the same story, which, you know, as an older cousin is probably quite horrible and painful to do, but I've always loved story. I loved television. I always was a big fan of TV shows, like early on I was like Degrassi High, and then Dawson's Creek, and Beverly Hills 90210. Like I've always liked commercial things as well. When I was a teenager, my parents owned the local video shop, so you know I had all these free films to watch, and I think that's kind of when I kind of got interested in behind the scenes as well, because I'd watch audio commentary or would take notice of a lot of things about, you know, camera shots and different colours that they might put on screen, or you know, actors I would see actors in lots of different films, and you know their ability to kind of transform a character to life. That kind of got me interested. But I did go onto the set of E Street, the drama program, when I was 10. And I think that kind of sparked everything. So this TV, the film stuff kind of followed it all through, and then I started doing video production electives at my high school, and then I got into TV production for university. So I went and studied TV production down at Charles Sturt University in Wagga, and loved it. Loved doing all the courses, and we'd make short films or short TV shows. We'd be in the studio, we'd have location shoots, and I had to do things like audio and sound electives, which wasn't necessarily my thing, but it was great to learn how that part of it, how that element contributes to the final product. I always loved I always opted to do screenwriting or creative writing electives, and but still didn't know that I wanted to write. I just always liked to do it. And when I was in my third year at uni, we had to do a prac, and I went to Home and Away. I went to the script department, and it was within the first half an hour. I was like, this is it. This is where I wanted to be. We were talking like 6 months ahead of what was on screen, and I had been watching the show, and I was just blown away. It was all exciting. They talked story arcs and character development and plot points, and you know, putting things on commercial breaks. And so from that 1 week, I said I want to go writing. I want to work in a script department. And so I ended up staying on and did an honours year at uni in screenwriting. And so then I did a lot of theory behind screenwriting and learning a lot about it, just, you know, reading lots of books and doing a thesis on that. And it's funny because I actually studied three television series, and one of them that I studied was McLeod's Daughters. So it's funny that you've been working with Miles, and because I studied that, I had to watch all the episodes, and I was examining how the story structure was put together over a whole series, like the whole 22 episodes. And you know, being an Australian series too, how they kind of wanted to tie Australia into it. Anyway, how I ended up getting into television was that a job was that I read this tiny little blurb in TV Week that said Channel 7's making a new show based around a university, and it must have had the names listed of the head of drama that was working on it. And so I was working as part of my honours project. I was creating a TV series based on people that were living in the same dormitory at university. So I was writing what I knew. I was writing where I was living, essentially, but very fictitiously. And so I wrote a letter to Bevan Lee, head of drama, and I was just really lucky that he actually even read my letter. And then he rang me, and I went and met him in Sydney, and I kind of had a interview on the spot, and I was given a job. He said, yep, go finish uni and come back and we'll start in January. So I walked into a dream job as a storyliner on a brand new show that was called Headland.
Wow, that's really incredible. And it's so funny hearing you say about playing Barbie dolls and stuff. Oh my God, that was totally me too.
I know, you should see behind me there's like a whole Barbie zone, because my youngest is exactly the same, and so she does it right behind me with so much mess, and sometimes I've got to there's like a floor of Barbies. I'm like, can you just move it so Mummy can get to the computer?
I was going to say, if you're really blocked one day, you could just go and start playing Barbies with her.
Oh well, yeah, I often do. We're often changing clothes and getting down, and I actually got my my phone call to say that my manuscript was being taken to an acquisitions meeting when I was sitting playing Barbies with her. So I kind of felt like that all tied in, because it was, years later after I'd been doing it for so many years, playing Barbies.
Yeah, that's so funny. I've got twin girls and they just do not like Barbies at all. Like, it's so annoying.
No, so, they are
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So you got on Headland. So how long were you doing that for, and where did you kind of go from there?
Well, I was on it for 12 months, and we broke for our summer holiday, so the following year, and I'd actually been given a promotion for the following year, but during the holidays, the network didn't pick up the second season, so we all lost our jobs. So it was really, really sad, because we even left on holidays and no one knew. We said goodbye and we were hoping to see each other in 4 weeks' time. But all these actors, they just lost their, we were all hopeful that it was going to be a new big show, and people like Rachel Taylor it was her first big show, and so she's gone on and done great things. But it was just really sad. It was such a nice place to work, and exciting things were coming. It's just one of those things, though. Got axed, so I ended up getting to work on All Saints in the script department there, and learn a lot of medical from my time working on All Saints. And so I was very excited to get a job on Home and Away in the script department there. I think because I'd always been a big fan of the show, and then having had my work experience there and getting back to that place. And when I was working there in-house, I started doing freelance script writing as well. So when I was working in the script department, I was a coordinator, so it's a lot to do with like proofing the scripts and the logistical sides of working in television. So making sure there's, the right characters are listed in every scene, because that's how the schedule's done. So you need to make sure the characters are listed. But then there's in Home and Away, because they are 5 episodes a week, actors are contracted to a certain number of episodes. So doing, sets, like plotting, making sure there's also a certain amount of sets used and locations used. So it's all about ticking those things off, and writing synopses for each of the episodes and organising with the writers. So it was a bit more of the managerial stuff as well. But during my time, I got to go in the script, like in the story room, and learn about story development and plotting and plot points and writing scene breakdowns, and like slowly developing skills that way. And I was able to start freelance writing. So I would be given one episode like all the other writers, and I would go away at night or all weekends and write a script to submit, which is kind of separate to my in-house job.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible. So you would have just been learning and taking it all in. Like, that's really amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. I worked with some, brilliant storytellers, and just absorbing being in the story room and being a real collaborative effort where people can contribute ideas and you bounce ideas off one another, and one idea that one idea sparks another idea, and it's kind of like all bouncing around, and sometimes you think an idea is terrible, but that's the idea you go back to, because the more you think about it, you think, actually, that could work. It was great fun.
Yeah, and I think collaboration, even with those of us who write and we don't even talk to people for days on end sometimes, I always find when I'm at a conference and I'll be catching up with some friends and we'll just have brainstorming sessions over coffee, and you just come away re-energized with all these great ideas and things you hadn't even thought about. So I can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you decided, how did this work? So you've published the one, which we're going to talk about in a sec, but how did that all kind of come about? Where did you get the idea? And I know you've used a little bit of personal experience about it, so just tell us about coming up with that and then your pitching process.
Well, the one is actually the third book that I've written since becoming a mum. So the other two are on my computer. I hadn't had any luck with those. I wrote a young adult fiction book, and then I went to a new adult fiction book, and then I went to the one. So the one I started writing when I had all three kids at home. I think my eldest was just at kindy, and I think the idea sparked because I do watch The Bachelor and shows like that, and I mean other shows sometimes, but The Bachelor was the one that kind of sparked the idea, and it was just conversations with friends, because I had moved away from Sydney back to the mid-north coast of New South Wales, and talking to other friends about the show. And I think just something must have triggered when I realised that what they'd see what's on the screen and kind of take that as what's happened. But I think because of my TV brain, I'm thinking about all those people that are behind the camera, and I just started thinking about what it would be like to work on a show like that. And it was the character of Darcy Reed, my young field producer in the book. She kind of really formed quite quickly, and I kept just playing with the idea of, what does she have to do? How does she feel about all these women going for the same man? And also, does she always make the right moral decisions? And then also she's working on a show about romance, but her own love life is, under pressure itself too. So kind of combine those two things.
Yeah, fantastic.
So in regards to pitching, is that what?
Yeah, you said it was the third one you'd written. So how has that process, like for all of the books, been? Has it just been a very long, drawn-out process with pitching and getting knocked out?
No, so for the others, I've just sent in to the slushed pile, and I think that's probably after not hearing from people and then and rejections. I was like, no, I'm going to do a different tact this way, and I entered the one into the Romance Writers of Australia Emerald Award, and it went quite well. It got through to the second round of that, and I was really, really excited about the feedback that I got, and thought, no, I'm going to hold on to this, and it was still 6 months away. But I'm going to hold on to it instead of just sending it off. I'm going to wait and pitch it at the conference. So then I kind of still had time up my sleeve. So anything that was in those judging reports, I went back and had a look at and changed the things that they thought. And then I did a pitching course through the Romance Writers of Australia, but leading into it. So I kind of spent more time preparing for it, knowing that I want to do this, I want to nail it. And so then I practiced my pitching, and the mentor was great, really got me on the right track of what I needed to do. And then because it was my first conference last year, I was a newbie, so I was signed up with this really supportive Facebook group, and I was able to do a practice pitch to Lisa Island before I went into my pitches, and I felt like I was ready, which was great. And so I pitched to a couple of different people and different agents as well over the weekend. And then it was 5.5 weeks after the conference that I got the phone call from Rachel Donovan at Harlequin when I was playing Barbies with my little girl, that she really loved it, and she was taking it to an acquisitions meeting. So like I was buzzed then, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, but I still had to try and go, it's okay, this is just one more step, it's not a yes yet, it's just a step in the right direction. And it was 6 days later that I got the phone call to say, yes, we're picking it up. But I was actually working at a high school, and I had checked, I didn't even have time to, I had a voice message, and I quickly listened to the voice message in the bathroom, and then I had to go back out, and I had no time to do anything. So I just was on sport duty, just thinking, oh my gosh, it's happening. But so it was all very exciting.
Yeah, and for traditional, that's actually moved fairly quickly then, to less than 12 months. What are we at, 10 months or something since last conference? So that's actually not too bad.
Really quickly. No, well, even they kind of said that too, that they said this is quicker than it would normally be, that was just the right spot for it. Yeah. So I feel, really lucky that it's been this quick. I mean, going to conference this year is truly exciting. That last year I pitched, and it was from that now I've got a book out in the world. It's
and this year you'll be getting your first sale ribbon, so that's pretty cool. Big milestone for you, eh?
That's right.
And you're doing some book signings and things at the moment. Just briefly, can you throw some dates and locations, or roughly? So I kick it off on Friday. I'm basically doing a lot of regional New South Wales. It's all listed on my website, but Morisset, Wagga, Bathurst, Taree, Foster, Gloucester, Port Macquarie, Yamba, Grafton. But I probably missed some. But and
there's
those
a lot
are
coming.
Pretty much going July, August, and September, scattered through those. Yeah, that's fantastic. Brilliant. So what are you working on at the moment? Have you got any contracts going forward, or are you just playing book by book?
No, not at this stage. I am working on one. I'm hoping to be able to send it to my publisher to see what they think. But it's about 3 women again. I think because of my TV training, I'm constantly tied to this interweaving storyline of 3 people. 3 women who own a wellness centre together. And so, obviously things don't always go to plan in a book, but it's, there's lots of their own personal lives getting in the way of their business, basically.
Yeah, oh, fantastic. Well, that sounds like a good one. So the one is the book that you have written, and it's out now. We're going to air in July, so you can go in and get Kaneana's story. So I wish you all the luck for that. Where can we find you online and keep up with everything that you do? Yes, and there's the book cover, which I forgot. So it's got a little fish hook with an engagement ring on the cover, for those of you who can't see it, called The One. So, and it's Kaneana May, even though she's got this crazy spelling for her first name.
Yes, cool. I didn't pick the spelling. It's a bit difficult, but my website's kaneanamay.com. Kaneana is Kaneana May, May.com. And I've got all my links to my Instagram and Facebook there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Kaneana. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me, Sarah.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jump onto my website, sarahwilliamsauthor.com, and join my mailing list to receive a free preview of my books and lots of other inspiration. If you like the show and want it to continue, you can become a sponsor for just a couple of dollars a month. Go to patreon.com/sarahwilliamsauthor. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a review of the podcast. I'll be back next week with another loved up episode. Bye!